You're listening to the GRCC Provost Podcast.
Greetings, persons of quality. Today we are taking a career journey. We're doing a career profile with Professor John Doneth, the Department Head of Manufacturing here at Grand Rapids Community College. Tell us a little bit about your work, your time at GRCC, when you got started, what you've done here.
I started here in the winter of 2007, and I was hired to do a job training welding program in Holland. So it was the same thing that we currently do at the MTech on Godfrey. I did that for 2 years, and then that program was closed, so I transitioned into full-time faculty status. Spent several years teaching welding. We added the robots into our program, and then from there I transitioned into department head, and then last year I also took on Apprenticeship Coordinator.
How many years then have you been the department head?
5.
5?
Yep.
Oh, you're a veteran.
And I've been here 10 years.
Okay.
So
half that time you've been the department head.
Yes.
That's awesome. And now you're the Apprenticeship Coordinator.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that work. What does it mean for you to help students get apprenticeships in manufacturing?
Well, it's, and actually we don't help them get apprenticeships. Companies hire qualified candidates, or they may identify internally candidates that they want to put into a specific program. I help companies set up new apprenticeships between GRCC and the Department of Labor. On our side of the fence, we help set up curriculum. So for me, it's a lot of fun because I get to set up curriculum for companies that may have some very interesting products or needs that doesn't necessarily fit our programs. So in the end, those students typically can still go on to work towards an associate's degree. So it's not an end; it's kind of a continuation. Most of the times, they're going to be short on their gen eds and things like that, but they'll have their core classes that will fit into one of our degrees.
When I think of apprenticeship, I think of something that's a component of a larger GRCC curriculum, but I think I'm conflating in my mind maybe internship and apprenticeship, which are two different things. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I can see that. Typically an internship, they're going to go and work in an area where they've already maybe self-identified. For apprenticeships, it's typically a 4-year investment in time of on-the-job training, 4 years worth of school with us, typically 10 to 12 classes within those core areas. So it takes them a lot more time to get to that point.
Intensive, long-term.
Yeah, intensive, yep.
In my mind, you place students in apprenticeships, but what's really happening, and that's kind of what you do with an internship, you'd help them find a place, right?
Correct.
A faculty member would. It's really the companies that are coming to you saying, here are the programs that we'd like to set up, and they select the students.
That's correct. Right now, it's actually quite a struggle for them to find people. That there's not a lot of talent pools out there. So they're looking at some high school graduates. They might be looking internally. Some companies even post for apprenticeships now, which is technically, I've never seen that before in my career. So before this, I was an engineer. Apprenticeships just weren't something that they had to actually go and hunt people down to fill. And now we're kind of seeing that. And so the companies have a very specific need, and so they come to us to help set that up and also look to us to try to find some talent too. So they'll use the handshake program that we just started here at the college. They'll use other colleges. They'll use a lot of various resources. So
you just reminded me to ask, what did you do before you came to GRCC in 2007?
That's correct. So I was a welding engineer, worked for a couple of different companies, and then the last company I worked for happened to be they're based out of Iowa. I actually did my internship for them when I was way back in college, and then they had a facility in Detroit. Well, actually, technically Sterling Heights, but when you're from West Michigan, I don't want to offend anybody that's from the Detroit area, but
it's all Detroit.
Yep.
Detroit, Metro Detroit.
When they were telling me that it would take me a half hour to go 3 miles, I didn't believe them until I got into gridlock traffic. So about a year and a half of that, and I was ready to get away from that.
To go to Iowa?
Nope. I was just wanting to get back to West Michigan. So this job came up along with some other ones. So I made the jump from there and into education. which was an easy fit because the work we did was to create robotic systems, and people on the floor, they would be displaced and moved typically into more technical roles. So when you bring a new piece of equipment in, all you do is teach. The machine did this, or how do we do this? So it was a constant teaching. I didn't realize how much teaching I did until I got to GRCC. And then I was like, wow, this is so much similar to my everyday work. And then I enjoyed it, and 10 years has flown by.
Yeah. You realize what incredible transferable skills from what you were doing in the workplace to teaching. I did say, I want everybody to know, I did say to John before we started today, I'm going to ask you some of the most naive questions you've ever heard about the field of manufacturing. So I said, brace yourself. So I've already done that with my sort of assuming that an apprenticeship was a lot like an internship. So brace yourself, here comes some more. When a person of my age, a person who hasn't been in the manufacturing field, thinks of manufacturing, we probably have in our heads an assembly line sort of a vision. You know, there are people doing things, putting things together, sort of mass production.
Yep.
That's how we think of it. And I'm sure that's an absolute, even for the time when that was the case, that's really a gross oversimplification. But talk a little bit about how manufacturing has changed over, say, the past 25 years. The skill sets required, what the environment's like, what a career looks like.
Sure. Well, the environment is one that I think a lot of people have the biggest misunderstanding. If you walk into most manufacturing facilities, you'll find out they're well lit, they're clean. On a daily basis, people are interacting with computers to get their data, whether it's part prints, specifications for the customers. The days of paper pretty much are over as far as manufacturing floors. You'll still see it out there, but what drives it is data. So there's a lot more computer work, even at the basic levels. Machines typically have a PLC or some type of computer interface on the face of them that runs it. Internally to the company, you might still see the assembly line. You'll see a lot more robots, a lot more technology. And what you may or may not see is more people in the background, technicians that know how to, service the electrical parts if they fail, more maintenance people who are trained with the PLCs, which run the electronics, the robots. You'll see a lot of the similar layouts, but a lot more technology involved.
PLC means?
Programmable logic controller.
Programmable logic controller.
Think of it as the brain.
The brain.
And so we use external sensors to verify whether or not it's safe for a person to put their arms into a machine. There's a light curtain there, and that light curtain, once it's broke, like your garage door, it has a light that if something's there, the door won't go down or it goes back up. So there's that same type of technology at a more industrial scale is everywhere through our manufacturing facilities. So, and then it's tied back to the PLC, which someone has to write that programming, which they do here at the college in our electronics and our programs there. So there's quite a bit that people don't ever see, but we're very well known in West Michigan that we do a lot of manufacturing here in a lot of different areas.
The common wisdom that I think people who aren't familiar with GRCC or the local economic sector think is manufacturing's dead. I mean, we hear that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Manufacturing jobs are gone. But that's not really true, is it?
No, and that is still kind of a holdover from 07, 08 when things really slowed down. Some people did lose their jobs. Some of those cases, it was some very low-level jobs that they figured out other ways to do or to ship out, because at the time, things slowed down considerably. So that was a serious speed bump for a lot of people. And so that mindset is still out there. However, just for a numbers standpoint, in 07 we were down to 60 apprentices, and now we're well over 400. So we've bounced back. And then we've added on different types of apprenticeships. We now have apprenticeships in CIS, in medical. Those are two areas that the school has added. Those are under my direct area, but we've added them to GRCC. So that's just a simple need-based right there, because apprenticeships are company-driven, and then they're also company-paid. So they're paying their employees to work, and then they're paying or reimbursing schooling depending on grades. So it's quite an investment that they're making. So those numbers there just show that it's bounced back. And then the jobs themselves, we still have a very good, thriving industrial base here. So the manufacturing sector's alive and well. And I'm probably getting 5 or 6 phone calls a week from new companies asking about apprenticeships. So that's it's good for us.
What kinds of skills are needed? What level of skill is needed for most manufacturing jobs in West Michigan today?
They are looking for between a certificate and associate's degree at it would depend on the job. Technicians, an associate's degree they're looking for. Some college. We also do some the 1-year certificates, which is about around 30 credit hours, is a very popular area as well. But the way the technology is moving, the computers, even our welders down at our shop, those are all run off circuit boards now. So if something goes wrong, they have to come in and hook up to it, just like your car, to figure out what error code is it throwing and what's going on with that. So it's kind of interesting. But I think we're in a really good spot because we have great programs in all our areas. And that was one thing when I came to the college, I didn't realize what talent was here. And you look in all the different areas, I don't know of anybody here that I deal with directly that doesn't have some sort of really good background in their area. So I think that's what's really been kind of the jewel of GRCC, is the other faculty here that know so much about their fields and then continue to learn and grow in that.
Back to my sort of vision of 25 years ago, which maybe had some basis in reality, what kinds of skills would have been needed then?
25 years ago, a lot less of the computer. There was a lot more of the traditional person putting more of a bolt and a screw together and an assembly line. They definitely could, probably get by with more of the high school education. There definitely was not as much technology as we're seeing today. Now we've got autonomous robots pulling assembly pieces through to get either working on or they're delivering product. It definitely is a whole new world. So it's and 25 years ago, you probably would have said a lot. It'd have been a little bit darker. It probably wouldn't have been quite as clean, as well lit as it is now. It's definitely an interesting transition that we've seen.
Do you think that regionally and nationally we are able to meet the need for skilled workers in manufacturing? And I'm not asking that as a criticism of GRCC, because we only have so much capacity or education nationwide. Are there a number of initiatives afoot to try to increase capacity for manufacturing education?
There's a number of things that have transpired since we've kind of bounced back with the manufacturing, but I don't think it's not something that happened overnight. We didn't lose manufacturing, the pipeline into manufacturing overnight, because when I was in high school and getting out of high school, I kind of fell more towards some of the hands-on trades, and it was always back then, nope, go to school and get a degree and kind of get away from that. So we've been pushing that for I hate to say for a long time because it makes me sound old, but I am now to the point where it's happened for a long time. And I've seen that for years and years. And the baby boomers are now retiring, and I think a lot of people
Some of us
on.
are still employed. The tail end of the baby boom. We're still
eligible.
here.
Eligible. So we have a lot of people that exited. They left, so that left a big gap. We didn't have a pipeline to fill the backside of the manufacturing sector coming in. So now we're kind of finding ourselves short. So now I feel like it's kind of a scramble, and it's going to take a little bit of time to turn that direction to get people to look at, hey, look, this is a viable and a great way to make a living, and it pays well, and there's good benefits. So I think over time we're going to get there. I think right now we're seeing the kind of the shock factor that we don't have enough people. What do we do now? So, out at the MTech, there's some summer programs to bring some manufacturing into the high school, junior high level. They bring some kids in and show them different areas, and it kind of crosses a bunch of different areas. construction. We did some stuff last summer. We showed them some welding, and they got their hands on with that. And I personally have done some stuff with a couple local companies that are just taking it on themselves to introduce this to junior high students and say, hey, look, here's a possibility for your future, and start kind of opening up some of the opportunities to say this is where you could head for a career.
Do you have any involvement with our AMP program?
Yes. So AMP was started right before I took over as a department head, and that one we've done, I think we did 5 or 6 cohort groups, because the first time we did actually 2. We called one GEM, which I don't know if you've ever heard about that.
Nope.
And that was actually a direct duplicate of one of the original companies that does a similar thing in another state. So there was AMP and there was GEM, and AMP was the one that kind of won out.
Okay, so AMP stands for?
Advanced Manufacturing Partnership.
Okay.
If you look at the curriculum when they come out, they'll have an associate's degree in tooling and manufacturing, which then is designed to transfer up to Ferris State, or I should say to Ferris State, since they're also here on campus. I'm still used to. I'm used to always sending them people to Big Rapids, but it works well with Ferris. Ferris has got great programs that our programs themselves are hands-on, applied technical. So, and with AMP, the companies all had to agree on some of the electives. I was going to say gen eds, but they can't agree on those because those are pretty much locked in. I'm sure they'd like to, but tough for them. And so over the years, that's been very successful. And we've had a couple of years where we didn't fill it up, so we could open those seats up to anybody else once we filled the seats internally. So we've made it work for the companies, and they've been very excited about it.
Do you have any involvement in MCAM?
I do. So MCAM was a coalition of colleges that looked at various industries. I happened to end up leading the welding portion, which was an eye-opening experience because I was able to get 7 colleges to agree on some transferring. Yeah, it was an eye-opener to work together and agree on some transfer between our colleges with our welding program. What would transfer back and forth? So eventually, I think that kind of led us to looking at industry-recognized credentials and transferring things that way, because there's no 2 programs in the state that are the same. They're similar but different, and they typically don't transfer well. So I think out of that was probably one of the best initiatives that we could have.
And you led that effort with 7 institutions.
Yep.
That's some leadership right there.
Thank you.
That is nearly miraculous. So how did you do it? What did that take?
It's like eating an elephant, it's one bite at a time. Or a Snickers bar. That sounds better than an elephant.
Well, it sounds a lot tastier.
It is. Well, we would have our either monthly or semi-monthly meetings. It depends on how they structured it. But the faculty, we kind of had basically our tasks, and we ran with it, or I ran with it, and I would email people what we needed, and then we'd have some of our bigger meetings over at Lansing or here. We brought everybody together, and we kind of just kept working through the steps. This is what we need next, and this is what we need next. And I put a lot of the paperwork together. We had kind of a transfer matrix, I called it, which sometimes felt like a massive matrix, because as you start putting things into it, you're like, wow, this is turning into an elephant. So, but in the end, I think it worked out well. It was a great learning experience. It was a lot of work, but overall, we're looking at continuing that on. Actually, there's another initiative with some type of other name, although the work's been done. So with that one, it's pretty much just explaining to them what we did and maybe bringing a few more schools into that.
You know what occurs to me? I mean, you're a department head. You've managed to do this miraculous thing with 7 institutions agreeing on how curricula would transfer. You know what that says to me? It says to me, Associate Dean, Dean. That's what that says. That says bright future in administration.
It's recorded. But as long as
I've left you speechless.
As long as it doesn't get to the internet, then we're okay, right?
Okay.
Because once it goes to the internet, it can never be taken back.
Actually, I think as long as it doesn't get to our microwaves.
All right.
We're watching the news recently. Okay.
Well, thank you.
All right.
I appreciate that.
So somebody's told me there's a manufacturing trailer that's going around to schools.
Yep, that's housed over at the MTech, and that has some smaller versions of some of the same type of equipment, along with, we have what we call a Virtual Welder. So if you've never seen our Virtual Welder or tried it out, you should come over to the MTech and try it. But within that trailer, well, the Virtual Welder, for one, is what it sounds like. They wear a helmet, they've got 3D, they got goggles on, they can see a three-dimensional world, and they can actually try welding without actually getting burned, which is always a plus. So it's a great...
awesome.
Yeah. Especially, we don't want to burn, we want you to get burned at all.
So you'd seriously let me try this?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
The Virtual Welder's great.
So you're talking about, the broad topic here is manufacturing.
Yep.
And your experience is specifically welding. What are all the sort of sub-areas of manufacturing or disciplines of manufacturing?
Well, if you just break down my department, we have plastics, quality science, tooling and manufacturing, which if people don't know that term, it's like your machinists, CNCs. And then when we say CNCs, that's the machines you see on TV that are cutting all the parts out automatically. And then, of course, welding. Those are some big, broad areas. So, which you'll find in manufacturing. Everything you use on a daily basis is either made out of plastics, it's been welded of some sort. Some type of quality engineer has determined whether or not that product is good. And our entire area is involved in that. With a few of the other areas, like we talked earlier with the Applied Technology Department, there's electrical, electronics, which are the people that do your PLCs. There's HVAC, so the nice temperature that is in this room, hot or cold, they take care of. Industrial maintenance, so the people that keep everything running are some of the things that you don't see, but when they don't work, you know it, especially air conditioning. Well, maybe not this time of year, but we're about to go into Michigan spring, right? Which
Soon,
is
yeah.
heater in the morning and air conditioning in the afternoon.
So I could actually, I'm back to, I could try the Virtual Welder.
Yeah, you bet. And so that goes back to the trailer, which also has a few other pieces of equipment. And so that trailer can be taken and driven and located wherever. So it can be taken to schools. We can give kids some exposure to a bunch of different either pieces of machinery or different areas that they might be interested in, or just show them things that they didn't even know existed. And that's, I think, where we're actually hitting the most, is just showing them things they've never seen.
I want to confess something, John, before you say a final. I would let you use the Virtual Welder.
Okay.
I'm going to have to determine whether this gets on the permanent record or not. I was actually fired from a job once. It only happened, well, they let me quit, but I was fired. It was a job in manufacturing.
Can we have more detail?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm going to give you more detail. This is how my that 25-year-old conception of manufacturing was my summer job working on an assembly line. I can barely speak about it. It was so traumatic.
I can see that.
But I was putting, like connecting things and screwing on things, and I had to do these things before it got on to the next person who was doing something else. And I'm a wildly uncoordinated human being. I could not master that. Same thing, day after day, hour after hour, I could not master that. It was a trauma. I feel like I've already failed at manufacturing.
No.
Do you think there's hope for me?
I think there's hope for you. You have some of the most exceptional faculty to ever walk the earth here at GRCC.
It's true.
So we will take you and guide you through this process, and you will be successful.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. So you could get me over my trauma.
I think so.
If I saw something that reminded me of it,
I think we can.
Okay.
Yep. We're up to the challenge.
And you think I could actually run the Virtual Welder?
We will be there with you every step of the way.
Okay.
Yep.
So I know you're fabulous faculty. Who might these fabulous faculty be that I would be working with?
Well, with the Virtual Welder, it'll be me.
Well,
So-
done. Okay. Who else would I be experiencing in the manufacturing area?
Just within our within our full-time faculty here, there's Nick Pinkney, who teaches in welding, Margaret Sesselman, Scott Lampy, Troy Wallwood, Jonathan Greer, Nathan Spahn, and Jeffrey Tyler. So that crew of people work all through our manufacturing classes. There's quite a bit of overlap in some areas, so they teach multiple disciplines in some cases.
Mm-hmm. So you think you can get me through the curriculum?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you can get me a job?
Can't make any promises there.
That's a pretty tough sell.
We could probably put you to work in the welding shop. We could start there. We need some steel sheared up.
I could shear up some steel.
Yes.
Do I ever get to the point where I'm working with equipment where I could burn myself?
I'm not sure about that one.
All right. I'll keep the virtual welder opportunity.
We've got it.
As a possibility.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Did I ask you really naive questions about manufacturing?
I guess if you say naive, that's the similar questions we get from a lot of people. So I would say you've asked the right questions.
Okay. Now there were probably even better questions I could have asked. So what do you wish I'd asked you about your field and your department here at the college?
You know, I hadn't really thought much about kind of the questions you would ask. I wasn't sure. There's so much going on within our area. I'll just tell you the one thing that surprises me is how fast things keep changing, but the college still seems to be able to keep up with the faculty, you know, either through continuous education or we've done very well with grants where we've been able to keep updating our labs and our equipment and things like that. So that's something that people don't typically see. They walk in and they see what we have here at the college and they don't realize what goes on to either maintain that equipment or get new equipment to keep us moving forward. And the college as a whole, I think, has done a great job with that part.
All kidding aside about my, I am very naive about your field, but it is absolutely true that the reputation of GRCC's manufacturing department precedes itself. That the initiatives that you folks, faculty and administration, are involved with, top-notch, cutting edge, really leading edge in terms of keeping up with the field, encouraging young people who are not yet in college to pursue the field, up-to-date equipment, again, bringing in the grants, bringing in the dollars, bringing in students. It is well known out there in the community and to me here internally that you guys absolutely rock.
Well, that's nice to hear, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone appreciates it that will hear that. All the faculty take it personally. It's their program. That's their name on it. And that's I think that's what's reflected and kept that reputation growing over the years. So that's nice to know.
And I remember getting tours of a number of the facilities that you use, and I met Wayne Rogers. Wayne Rogers, who showed me the virtual welders. He didn't offer to let me try one, though.
No, Wayne's retired now. We can, as I tell Wayne, we can still use a guy like you.
So what's the next big thing for your department?
I hate to say nothing because we're constantly moving our programs forward. So it almost feels like we're kind of trying to catch up with, we have a bunch of equipment that we got. We're doing some curriculum review, which will actually be next year, but we're going to change some things. We've added bunch of labs. I think the next big thing for us, actually, the school's moving more towards some of the middle college programs, and I think scheduling and talent will be the next big thing of trying to figure out how to manage and make all these types of things work and try to help meet the needs of everybody at the same time, which are now varying even more.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that that's probably the next logical step, is with the high school students that actually know that this is where I want to head. This is the direction I want to go, because right now we have a few programs, but I think getting some of these programs back to the high schools. And years ago, students had access and they had this in their hands to say, hey, I like this. Those things kind of went by the wayside. And so now it's nice to see it coming back.
To meet the need for West Michigan.
That's for sure. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for agreeing. I hope none of my questions shocked you.
Nope. I'm good.
One more question. Cat person, dog person?
I'm a cat person.
Excellent.
My one daughter's allergic to dogs, so we've had cats, and our last cat, he is something special.
Yeah.
He's kind of a jerk sometimes, and we love him. So
Cats are jerks.
yeah, we tend to show the scars.
Yeah? You only have one?
Yeah, that's all we can handle. If we can't, we couldn't handle two of him.
One jerk cat.
Yep.
What color?
He's kind of multicolored.
Multicolored?
Yep. So.
He?
Yep. Mosley.
Mosley?
Mosley.
Mose. That's a great name for a cat.
Yeah, and he's Mosley Gray. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad. I knew it. When I asked the question, I knew you were a cat person.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
You also, you're a leader across the college. You're on AGC, so you're well known across the college. But you're probably a little bit better known in the School of Workforce Development. But in the School of Arts and Sciences, you're probably best known for your other role in life, Mr. Kristen Doneth.
That's correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
And you just got back with your family from a cruise.
Yes. Yep. We had a great 5-day cruise, first ever. So we got to relax and enjoy ourselves.
Next time, maybe Mosley goes.
I don't think so. Although he does drink out of the sink, I don't think he likes the water that much.
Okay. I will happily try any of the cool machines that you'll let me play with out at the MTech or anywhere else. Happily, I'm just waiting for my invitation. That goes really for faculty across the college. If you've got cool equipment that you think that I need to try to better understand your programs, here I am telling you I am willing. Just invite me, and don't let that whole getting fired from the assembly line job thing scare you. Or let it scare you. But I'm willing to try anything. And I hope that you remember that you are the much appreciated, highly valued faculty and staff of a very happy provost. Do you want to say it with me? You know what comes next, John? Boom!
You've been listening to the GRCC Provost Podcast, produced by GRCC Media Technologies. Join us next episode for more Provost.